Is it possible that you could be too positive to the point that it's detrimental? Find out here today on Jimmy Rants. Click on that little box down there in the corner. It'll take you straight to IGTV for today's episode. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content. You got to go follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live and enjoy the show. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So be there, be square. Thank you guys for being here. We're also simulcast over here on my Facebook page. I see Vicky just popped in to watch the show live. So thank you all for being here today. And then over here on my YouTube stream, I've got all my usual suspects over here. Thank you guys for watching today here on Jimmy Rants. And thank you everybody for being here today. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay. We throw it up over on IGTV right here on Instagram. So be sure to catch the show. If you miss it live, we're always on there right after the show is over. Within minutes, it goes right up to Instagram TV, IGTV. So check it out there. Within an hour after the show is over, about an hour or so, we throw it up over on YouTube. So you can type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. And then finally, we do have a website for it. I was going to tell you about the podcast, but I said, nope, that was yesterday. We do have a website for the show, JimmyRants.com. And while you're there, you can watch all the past episodes there. But if you like the show, definitely click on the Patreon link, and it helps keep us on the air. Any donation of any amount would help us out. So today, before I get started on today's content, I have a Jimmy Rants bonus episode, you guys. So on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I have been doing video interviews for my two podcasts, the Living La Vida Low Carb Show and Real Talk. So Tuesdays, I do a Best of Jimmy Rants on Living La Vida Low Carb Show. Wednesdays, I have a new interview for you here today, but it's right now as a Jimmy Rants bonus episode over on YouTube with Temple Stewart. She's a dietitian who uses ketogenic diets. So we had a nice conversation. You can either watch it on YouTube today, or you can go to the Living La Vida Low Carb Show, LLVLC.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and listen to that show. So check that out. Just thought I'd let you know about that Jimmy Rants bonus episode. All right, guys. So this topic I'm going to talk to you about today is kind of an interesting one. And I'm going to give a hat tip to my friend who writes a lot of different things out there on all kinds of subjects. Brittany is her name. She's usually here on Instagram. And she put something on her stories yesterday that I thought, ooh, that's really good. And it was talking about this idea that it's possible that your positivity that you are having in your life could actually end up being a detrimental thing. And especially in the midst of COVID-19 and in the midst of, trying to deal with some of the strife that's going on in our country, people are like, oh, we need to just all stay positive and stay positive all the time. And it's that positivity that will get us through. Yeah, I just want to slap those people in the face that are that way. Because if you're that positive all the time, I'm going to wonder what's wrong with you. And we all know people in our lives like that, where they put on a face, and you can obviously see they're putting on a face all the time, and they're just so happy all the time. And it's like, oh, my dog died. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, my grandmother died. Oh, I'm just still so happy. And it's like, at some point you begin to question, is that healthy? Now, the flip side of it is those people who are negative all the time, and I think that's just as unhealthy as being positive all the time. So what I'm going to talk about here today, and I have a great article from health.com, all about this idea of toxic positivity. Is it possible that you can be too positive? And the answer to that question is yes, and it's both toxic and dangerous. Now, you're going to want to get a load of this one because a lot of people are struggling right now. How do I handle all the uncertainty, all the fear, all the stress that I'm going through? And could it be that I just need to stay positive all the time? We've even been told to do that. Oh, just stay positive and all your worries will go away. And you're going to find out why that's not exactly the best course of action. So let's get into this article. What is toxic positivity, and why are the experts saying it's a dangerous thing to be doing right now? Striving to stay upbeat and optimistic during a life-altering global pandemic can actually backfire on you. There are a lot of reasons to feel down right now. The news cycle is a constant reminder of all the havoc that the coronavirus is causing on a national, local, and global scale. Health concerns, frustrations, loneliness, financial uncertainty are all having a widespread impact on our mental health. 2/3 of people say they feel nervous, depressed, lonely, or hopeless during at least one of the last 7 days. That describe any of you? I would say I've been lonely the past 7 days. Not really depressed or nervous or hopeless, but definitely lonely has kicked in. What we all need is a steady dose of positivity, right? Well, yes, but positivity can come in different forms, and they're not all good for you. And I want you to see this distinction, you guys, because people who tell you just stay positive and they're not defining what that means, there could be ways where being positive could actually be detrimental. You're gonna get a kick out of this one, guys. So the term toxic positivity has been around for a little while, but it's taken a global pandemic for many of us to be aware of the insidiousness of it. Toxic positivity can be described as insincere positivity that leads to harm, needless suffering, or misunderstanding, according to a psychiatrist, Gayani De Silvi. She's a medical doctor, psychiatrist. Toxic positivity is all over social media. See if you notice any of these toxic forms of positivity. Positive vibes only. Look on the bright side. Well, it could be a lot worse. The example that immediately comes to mind are all the posts that say, if you repost this, I know someone cares. Well, people care in their own ways, but there's no one way to care. And then there are the posts that insinuate that if you aren't being positive, then you are the one doing something wrong. You run into any of that? It's almost as if you're being guilted into being something that you're not allowed to have feelings, that you're not allowed to have emotions, that you're not allowed to be upset and angry and all the emotional responses you're having to what we're going through right now. And quite frankly, no two people are going to be alike about this either. One person may be handling everything fine and they'll have their moments. Another person's having a nervous breakdown. I don't think we need to put our subjectiveness of what we expect from other people onto those people. Let people have the emotions they're going to have. It's the same thing that happened after George Floyd got killed. You had a group of people that said, you need to come out and say something and become anti-racist, and you need to say this and this and this. And I'm going, don't tell me how to respond to a situation that I'm still trying to process. And same thing, all the people that are saying, be positive, just be uplifting, and it could be a lot worse. You're ignoring the fact that not everybody is processing this in the same way that you are. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about this concept known as toxic positivity. And there is a point where you can be so positive that you are distant from reality. So I'm reading from a nice little article all about this. The cultural phenomenon that is toxic positivity has gone into overdrive during COVID-19 and the lockdown. We're being bombarded with ideas about how this time should be invested in writing a novel, learning a new language, finding your zen, and that we are somehow failing if we're not doing these things. Margaret Seed is a psychiatrist who's noted this has been happening. And if people find inner peace and endless silver linings buried deep within a lockdown, that's great. If that's you, wonderful. But a constant promotion of this approach, however well-meaning it may be, is actually pretty toxic. Like, think about it. We all grieve in our own ways. And just go to someone who has died in your family and you've gone to the funeral. You've had people at the funeral cry. And then you have people that you never see cry at all at a funeral. And then you see some other people at a funeral that might laugh. Everybody has a different response to traumatic events. Now, what you don't see is those people that didn't cry at the wedding end up crying months later. That was me with my brother Kevin. I was the only one in my family that stayed pretty strong, and in the midst of the funeral of my brother, I was able to comfort everyone, and I stayed pretty chill. And then it took me months later where it just suddenly hit me one day and I couldn't stop crying. So you can't always know the full story if you expect people to fit in this box of what you expect for them to be and how they respond to situations. You can make anyone who doesn't feel that doing an 8-week yoga retreat is necessary. You can feel flawed if you don't do it. These messages delegitimize the anxiety and heartbreak ripping through our country and the world right now, robbing us of the right to have some bad days in the midst of this crisis. I remember when all this started going down around mid-March, and I started having people here on Jimmy Rant say, hey, when are you going to do another fasting challenge? I'd love to do it. This is the perfect time to be fasting. And in my mind, I'm going, I'm too stressed to be fasting. I can't possibly fast in the midst of all this stress. And yet people were wanting it. And I kept saying, just wait, let's let things kind of calm down a little bit. And then we set it up for the first week in July, and I did it, and I was like, okay, that wasn't a good idea. Or was it the first week of July? No, it was the first week of June, I'm sorry. And it wasn't a good idea because that was right around the time all the race riot stuff started happening. And so everybody wanted that. Oh, it's the perfect time to be fasting. I'm like, you can handle the stress better than me, because even that week that we did that fast, I didn't finish the fast. I went about 2.5 days, and I was like starving because of the stress. So we have to see that people are in different spots. So let's not thrust our desire for positivity in everyone on everyone. If you can be positive and it's genuine and all the things, good for you. But let's don't fake it. And again, I'll remind you, you can see the flip side of that. There's a lot of people that are Debbie Downer every moment of every day, and we hate those people. So there's kind of the extremes of if you're down all the time or if you're up all the time, you're not human, in my opinion. I think you can circumnavigate this whole kind of coronavirus, race relations, all the things happening in our lives right now without having to go to the extreme of very, very, very positive or very, very, very negative. You can kind of live in the middle and have moments. If you never let yourself feel any emotion besides happiness or gratitude and instantly shut down any so-called negative emotion, you're not dealing with how you really feel. And see, people devalue the authenticity that comes from feeling how you feel. And this is unfortunate because you can't know what good feels like until you feel bad. Like, think about the worst time in your life. Just think about whatever that is for you. That worst moment in your life. We all have those moments. Now, juxtapose that to the best moment in your life. Okay? Very happy, whatever that moment is. Are they close to being the same? No. Would they be considered polar opposites? Yes. Would you know what one is like without the other? I would argue no. If you're high all the time, then you never know that you're high because you're always up there. If you're low all the time, you never know what high feels because you're always here. So you need to have those ebbs and flows in order to feel the difference. That makes you human. You may close the metaphorical closet door on it, but the specter of it looms behind the door, talking about suppressing those negative things that are happening. It grows scarier and stronger in our minds precisely because we don't address it. That's according to a clinical social worker named Jenny Minpa. There's an expression, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and it means that when we bring the scary things into the light, whether they're memories, emotions, or fears, we can really examine them and take away some of their power over us to infect us. And that's so true. Like when I first started talking about some of the childhood trauma stuff when I got back from sabbatical, that was both difficult and freeing all at the same time. I had so many emotions built up inside of me, and I wanted to share. And those of you that watched those early Jimmy Rants episodes when I first came back and I was doing a lot of childhood trauma stuff, it was emotional on camera. Like I was really intense, and I apologize for that for those of you. I came back from sabbatical and all of a sudden I'm really intense on camera, but I think it showed the rawness of me trying to express myself where I was in that moment. I didn't try to squelch what I felt. I just was real and honest and put it out there and let the chips fall where they may. It's important to acknowledge that multiple complex emotions can exist in you all at once. You can be both extremely excited and very sad all at the same time. Let's say you just got a promotion at work that's going to pay you 50% more income, and then your mother dies. Are you happy? Yes. Are you sad? Yes. Two very different feelings, emotions, all at the same time based on varying circumstances. So maybe in the midst of this COVID-19, you've been able to keep an income and support your family, and yet you're still worried about the future. So you're both grateful that you weren't one of the tens of millions of people that lost their job, but you're also not feeling great and having some negative emotion because you're not sure where this is going and where things are going in the world and blah, blah, blah. And so you have both of those at the same time. You can be grateful to have a roof over your head while you still hate your job that continues to pay you in order to afford that roof over your head. You can be devastated at the loss of life that has happened because of COVID-19, but you can still enjoy all the benefits that have happened when you've been in lockdown. And that's another thing. People are, oh, I've been locked down, oh my God. But think about the blessings you've had in the midst of that. Have you become closer to family members? Have you been able to look inwardly and maybe learn something about yourself in the midst of this? I think a lot of us could say, yeah, that's exactly what has happened with this. And so there's good with the bad, and you can feel both at the same time. You don't have to just be happy all the time, just be sad all the time. You can have a hybrid of those emotions. So what is the right way to be positive? The favorite strategy for accepting and balancing the seemingly conflicting emotions that we all are having at the same time, at any given time, in fact, is an improv strategy called yes and. For instance, I'm so tired of being stuck inside this house with my family. And I'm grateful that I enjoy my family's company enough to be stuck inside with them. So you see what they did? They took this kind of negative energy of, oh my God, if I have to look at this kid one more day, to, man, I'm really glad I get to look at this kid every single day. You see how it puts a positive spin on what would be perceived as a negative, but it's not just the second one. Oh, I enjoy my family's company. I'm so grateful to be stuck inside with them. No, that would be fake. But I'm so sick and tired of being stuck inside with my family, and I'm grateful. So you see how you mix the two and you have that emotional, negative emotion and positive emotion all at the same time. Or try this one on. I'm afraid of what the future holds, and I feel some excitement at the hope some things may change for the better. So this is called yes and. Okay, so maybe you can start implementing that. Think about those things that you have in your life that you're feeling a negative emotion about. That's the yes, that's the reality, that's the authentic you that's coming out. But now add an and spin it positive, and then that's your new mantra. I hope that helps some of you guys. When I read that, I thought that's really good stuff. What that does is we give ourselves permission to hold multiple seemingly conflicting views and truths in our minds at the same time. We can eliminate the tension between them and then give room to all of our emotions, both the positive and the negative. So the simple truth of all of this, the best approach is tell the truth. Just be honest with yourself. It's always kinder It's also healthier to acknowledge the pain a person might be experiencing. Ask what they need. It's possible to exude a positive attitude and still interact with people in a caring way. That's when positivity is no longer toxic. So are you guys getting this? If you're only positive all the time to the detriment of what your real feelings are, how, pray tell, are other people supposed to know what's going on in your head? And I think a lot of the stress that's come on from anxiety and depression and people, like I mentioned in the Jimmy Ranch yesterday, kind of contemplating suicide, I think a lot of it has to do with they felt like they've had to put on a fake face in the midst of all this. And, oh, yeah, this is the worst pandemic of our lifetime. We have unprecedented things happening, and I'm just so joyful. Yeah, nobody believes it. Your face might say one story, but your mouth is saying another story. And I think if we could just be real, and the realness comes from both the positive and the negative. Unfortunately, social media and the truth often don't go hand in hand. Even pre-COVID, social media was a tool with which a vulnerable person can compare their worst day to another's best day. Oh, don't get me started on that. How many people look at social media channels of someone they admire and it looks like their life is so perfect? Can I tell you, as someone with somewhat of a following across social media and name recognition and all that, people look at me, oh, you're so positive on Jimmy Rants all the time. I'm the first person to tell you guys, I come on camera and I'm positive, yes, but in my real life, I have moments. And I've had crying moments. I've had very lonely moments. Not this past weekend, but I think it was the weekend before. Oh, it was the 4th of July weekend. I was all by myself here, had nowhere to go. And some of the friends that I usually talk to were with their family, and I was lonely. And we're going to have those moments. So I had my moments. Now, thankfully, I had people I could still reach out to and was able to get some help to kind of help with that. But we all are going to have those moments, and let's acknowledge them. There's no shame in having those moments. But don't fake it. Don't fake like everything's okay when everything is not okay. If you're one of the many who's struggling to stay positive right now, it's important that you're not alone, even if Instagram might make you feel that way. For most of us, this is the first time we've ever gone through a pandemic. There's no normal response right now. There's no self-help books on how to successfully navigate a pandemic, although I have a feeling there will be people writing those kinds of books when this is all over. There is only content created by people who have also never lived through a pandemic. We should all be open to the fact that we don't know what to expect from ourselves or from each other. And in my work, you guys, I've been trying to do different kinds of things in my content lately. Some people like it, some other people don't like it, but it's more just these uplifting, kind of middle of the road, not really taking a hard position on things. And I'm just trying to get you to think. And it's what I try to do here on Jimmy Rants. I try to present information that makes you think, maybe makes you reevaluate what you're thinking and what you're believing. And we need some of that. With no standard of appropriate lockdown behavior, besides all the hand washing and mask wearing, there may be days where you feel grateful and productive and positive, and days where you see light at the end of the tunnel. Be flexible and be ready to adjust your definition of a constructive day. Don't shame yourself or anyone else for feeling frightened or overwhelmed. Expect times when you have difficulty coping with the uncertainty of the pandemic or sustaining the patience required to homeschool your kids. And again, we're all going to be on this spectrum at various levels all throughout this. Some will hang out on the negative end a little more than others. Some will hang out on the positive end a little more than others. I tend to be a generally positive person, again, with my moments. But I do tend to lean more on the positive end of things because of the things I've gone through in my life. I'm a little more resilient. So I'm able to bounce back from things a little better than others. And yet I know there's others that don't bounce back very easily and they kind of hang out in the negative. And so honoring all of those emotions is important. While it can be really, really difficult to out yourself on social media by sharing dark moments, it might just be a step forward and a way out of toxic positivity. Yet share. If you're having a dark moment, share, because most of the time when you're having that kind of a feeling, there's a lot of people having that same feeling. And if you express it and articulate it where someone relates to you, they're not going to feel so alone anymore. And guess what you just did? You took that negative experience for them and you have now made it a positive experience, because no longer do they feel isolated and alone and think that nobody understands what they're going through. They say, oh my gosh, you know what I'm going through. You don't know who else you're helping. And there would likely be lots of positive feedback if you shared these things. My hope is that all the emotion of this situation and existential questions it brings up make way for real dialogue about how bad days and weak moments work. Be positive when you can be, but make room for those days when you can't. The bottom line is, it would be much kinder and healthier if we turned off all the toxic positivity all the time and made every range of emotion permissible and even welcome. So I love that, you guys. Again, that was from health.com. What is toxic positivity and why are experts saying it's dangerous right now? Definitely go look that one up. But I had another one here that kind of goes along the same lines from the Psychology Group, talking about toxic positivity, the dark side of positive vibes. I don't want to reinforce everything I just wrote, but I wanted to, there was some good stuff in here. So here's some common expressions and experiences of toxic positivity that helps you recognize how this shows up in your everyday life. So see if you notice any of these. Do you hide your true feelings? I think if we're being honest, a lot of people don't want to share how they really are feeling about anything right now. Well, part of that too is we are living in a culture right now that if you say the wrong thing, that you'll have the mob come after you, right? So there is that fear. Or if you say something that runs counter to what everybody else is saying, again, you feel like you're going to be ostracized and targeted. Some people don't want that. Trying to just get on with it by stuffing and dismissing emotions. That's a sign of toxic positivity. Feeling guilty for feeling what you feel. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not allowed to feel angry, upset, scared, terrified, all of these things. But you are. You're allowed. You don't need my permission to tell you you're allowed. It's just it's an axiomatic statement. You're allowed. Minimizing other people's experiences with feel-good quotes or statements. So if somebody says something they're going through, oh, it's going to be okay. You just need to look at the bright side of things. And those people deserve a middle finger. Because they're not understanding that I don't want to see your fakery in the midst of me being vulnerable. Trying to give someone perspective. Well, it could be worse, instead of validating their experience. Shaming or chastising others for expressing frustration or anything other than positivity. And then brushing off things that are bothering you. Well, it is what it is. Does that ever help anybody? When you kind of express a situation, well, it is what it is. Like, that is such a overused colloquialism. What is it is what it is means anyway? I don't know. They try to use shame to force a positive outlook on pain. Is to encourage a person to keep silent about their struggles. Most of us don't want to be seen as a drag or bad. So when the choice is between being brave and honest and actually sharing your feelings, or B, pretend like everything is great, we're going to pretend like everything's great. Brene Brown teaches in several of her books that the energy source of shame is silence, secrecy, and judgment. In other words, where there is hiding, secrets, and denial, shame is usually in the driver's seat. And I could tell you, in all this race relations talk stuff, I have dug right into it, and I'm not fearful at all about talking about it. It is what it is. I'm going to share my thoughts, and I'm trying to come at it from a reasoned viewpoint. And if people call me names, okay, fine. But that's the thing that's kind of holding people back, is they don't want the shame of saying the wrong things because you really have thoughts about this, but you don't want to share the thoughts because you're afraid of people coming after you. Shame is crippling to the human spirit and one of the most uncomfortable feelings that you can feel. Often we don't even know that we're feeling shame. Here's a clue on how to know it's there. Ask yourself, if they knew blank about me, what would they think about me? Or something I wouldn't want the world to know about me is blank. So you think about that in your own life. If you can fill in that blank anything, whether it be a situation, a feeling, or an experience, there is a high likelihood that you have shame around that. So think about that. If they only knew blank about me, what would they think? I think we can all fill in that blank with something. And behind that something, there's shame about that something. It could be something you did in your past. It could be something you're doing now. It could be literally anything. But that shame is a big motivating factor in all of this. Suppressed emotions. Several psychological studies show us that hiding or denying feelings leads to stress in the body or increased difficulty avoiding distressing thoughts and feelings. This is where people cascade into those suicidal thoughts that we talked about yesterday on Jimmy Rants. In one study, for example, research participants were divided into 2 different groups and shown disturbing medical procedure films while their stress response was measured. They measured their heart rate, pupil dilation, and sweat production. One group was asked to watch the videos while letting their emotions show, whereas the second group was asked to watch the film and act like nothing at all was bothering them. So guess what happened in the study? The participants who suppressed their emotions, the ones who said, yeah, I'm not supposed to show any emotion, act like nothing bothered them, had significantly more physiological distress. The emotional suppression may have appeared cool and calm on the outside, but on the inside, it was a blithering mess. These types of studies show us that expressing a broad range of emotions externally, express them, even when they're not so positive. Having words to describe how we feel and a facial expression to emote, which could include crying, helps us to regulate your stress response. Did you realize holding it in? Don't hold it in. You got to let it out. You know, we've always heard that. It's why I love people who wear their emotions on their sleeve, because number one, you know exactly where they stand. Even if you don't like it, you know where they stand. It's those people that hold things in that it's actually doing physical damage to their bodies, right? When we don't want to show a part of ourselves, we create a fake face or public persona for the world. That face can sometimes look cheery with a happy smile, stating everything happens for a reason and it is what it is. When we go into hiding like that, we deny truth. The real truth is life hurts. Life sucks. If you're angry and the angry feelings aren't acknowledged, they get buried deep within our body. As described above, suppressing emotions can later manifest in things like anxiety, depression, or even physical illness. I bet that kind of suppressed anger and holding things in can probably kind of change your body hormonally. I'm sure some of the autoimmune conditions that people start to develop is a direct result of things being held in. Like, think about those people who hold things in, hold things in, hold things in, hold things in. You never know anything, and then one day, pow, they explode. Because it's like a keg. It's just waiting to, a keg of dynamite, that is, not a keg of beer. Of dynamite, and it's just waiting to explode, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds until one day, everybody knows they're upset. It's important to acknowledge the reality of our emotions by verbalizing them and moving them out of our bodies. This is what keeps us sane, healthy, and relieves us of tension that's caused by suppressing the truth. Once we honor these feelings, we embrace all of ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly, And accepting ourselves just as we are is the path to a robust emotional life. How about isolation and other relational problems? In denying our truth, we begin to live inauthentically with ourselves and with the world. We lose connection with ourselves, making it difficult for others to connect with us. We might look unbreakable from the outside, but on the inside, we're really just scared little teddy bears longing for a hug. Have you ever been around a sweet, sugary person? Just think happy thoughts, Pollyanna? Yeah, we all have. How comfortable are you with spilling your guts and your deep emotions with that kind of person? Probably not. Even though that person may have the best intentions, the message they're mindlessly sending is only good feelings are allowed when you're around me. Right? Therefore, it makes really difficult to express anything but good vibes around these kind of people. Let me tell you where this is the worst. You're not allowed when you go to church to talk about anything bad. Now, this is an unspoken within like Christian circles, but I remember as a kid, my dad would be beating the crap out of me in the car, yelling at me, slapping his hand at me, and physically and emotionally scarring me to death. And then we get out of the car at the church and, hey, brother, how you doing today? Oh, praise the Lord, praise Jesus. Wherefore art thou? And I got to tell you, I remember observing that as a kid and thinking, wow, this is all superficial. This isn't real. Now, I never lost my faith. How I didn't, I don't know, because I had hypocrites all around me. He was just one of many hypocrites. But you're not allowed in a church setting to show anything but good vibes. Consequently, you end up complying with all the implied rules. I can only be a certain kind of person around you, and I can't really be myself. If you have friends in your life who you feel like you can't be your full, authentic self, maybe you have the wrong friends. Maybe you need to find friends that are actually real, that will let you be you. Now, I'm a little bit of a different kind of breed of person. I tell you how I feel, and sometimes I'm blunt, and sometimes I say things forthright. And my friends know that, but I expect that from them. Hey, be forthright with me. And that's some of my best friends are the ones that I'm able to just talk about anything and everything, and there's no taboo subjects. And it's great. I love it. The relationship with yourself is often reflected in the relationship you have with other people. If you can't be honest about your own feelings, how will you ever be able to hold space for someone else expressing real feelings in your presence? By curating a fake emotional world, we attract more fakeness. Oh, did you get that? When you're fake around other people, you attract fake to you. And I'll say it another way. When you're real around other people and you're authentic and you're being who you are, warts and all as they say, you attract people that are authentic and are willing to be that way and real with you. So, what you exude is what you attract. That's the take-home message I get from that. All right, so some examples of non-toxic and accepting statements. So let me tell the toxic one first, toxic positivity, and then here's how you make it non-toxic acceptance and validation. All right. Toxic positivity. Don't think about it. Just stay positive. Non-toxic. Describe what you're feeling. I'm listening. Toxic. Don't worry, be happy. Non-toxic. I see that you're really stressed right now. Is there anything I can do? Toxic. Failure is not an option. Non-toxic. Failure is a part of your growth and success. How can I help you learn from this? Toxic. Everything will work out in the end. Non-toxic. I know this is really hard, and I'm thinking of you right now. Let me know how I can help. Toxic. Positive vibes only. Non-toxic. I'm here for you for both the good and the bad. Toxic. If I can do it, so can you. Non-toxic. Everyone's story, abilities, limitations are different, and that's okay. Toxic. Just get rid of the negativity in your life. Non-toxic. Suffering is a part of life. You are not alone. Toxic. Look for the silver lining in everything. Non-toxic. I see you, and I'm here for you. Toxic, and I hate this one. Everything happens for a reason. Non-toxic. Sometimes we can draw the short straw in life. How can I support you while you're going through this tough time? Toxic. Well, it could be worse. Non-toxic. Well, that really sucks. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Can I help? So in conclusion, being a healthy human being involves being conscious of ourselves and how we show up in the world. If you recognize yourself as a transmitter of toxic positivity, it's time to cut it out. You're hurting yourself and the people you care about the most by insisting on this monolithic mindset. Instead of practicing toxic positivity, aim for a balance and acceptance of both the good and the bad, rather than an all or nothing mentality. If you're being influenced by other people who are showing toxic positivity, we encourage you to set healthy boundaries with anyone who passes judgment on your authentic experience and speak your truth. We get one chance at this life, embrace it entirely, and you'll reap the benefits of bountiful aliveness. So that was pretty good, you guys. I was so happy to learn about this idea of the toxic positivity because I never really thought about it before. I got another article here, but I think we hit on most of those things. The just get over it, be positive, good vibes, stop being negative, think happy thoughts, never give up, just be happy, see the good in everything. All of those things are toxic positivity, and you don't want those in your life. So, you recognize yourself in any of that? I think we all say these sayings to ourselves to try to make ourselves feel better and think it's the right thing to do. But when you're fake on the outside, let's be truthful. I think most people read through fakery. When you're trying to put on a face, most people see that face. And they're kind of like, okay, can't be real around this person, right? I definitely want to see what you guys have to say about this. Let me come over here to Instagram first, then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube, and we'll see what all you guys have to say. So welcome in, welcome in. JimmyRants.com is the website. See what you guys have to say here on Instagram. Teresa says, people want you to feel like they feel, and they don't respect how I feel. Oh my gosh, that one will preach, Teresa, because that's the thing. When you don't respond in a way that other people think you should respond, they go crazy. And I'm thinking, who is in charge of telling you what the, quote, right way to respond is and the wrong way to respond is? And I'll go back to the race relations stuff. I mean, I hated it when people are like, well, you need to be vocal about this. Okay, thank you for expressing what you think should be done, but what you think is irrelevant. Maybe I'm processing it still. Maybe I'm still trying to figure out what to say. Don't force my hand into saying something when I'm not ready, because then it will be an incomplete picture of how I feel. And so you're right. They don't usually respect what you feel. All right, let's see anybody else. Christians aren't perfect, just saved. Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, thank you, Instagram. Let's pop over here to my Facebook page. What's up, Facebook? Thank you guys for being here today on Jimmy Rants. See what you guys have to say on this one. Christine says, I was a miserable human being the last few days. Just had a sad, angry few days. I'm better today, but it was an absolute bear. I definitely didn't hide it. Well, you're one of those people, Christine, that I think it's okay to have those moments. And see, here's the thing. People that don't like you having moments, they're not living in reality. I think if people aren't having moments right now, you're not human. You can't possibly be handling everything happening in the world right now, pretty much turned upside down. if you're human, you can't possibly not have some emotions about how things are going. And that's just in the general world, never mind in your individual world. If you have financial struggles, or if you have interrelational type of things going on, or your job, or anything, all that just adds to it. Tammy says, I don't know how the heck to deal with all this. So unfortunately, I lost my way with keto. I'm back now, but some damage was done. Tammy, don't beat yourself up, because I know that you're not alone in that one. A lot of people have dealt with that. So obviously, I'm here for you. If you need any help, I hope you know you can reach out to me in a DM. I'd be happy to help you if you have any issues. But you know what to do. Just get back on plan, and you're doing that. So that's great. Tracy says, for some reason, I feel like showing emotions makes me weaker. I know it's crazy, but I'm always very guarded. Yeah, you're not alone, Tracy. There are a lot of people who take that mentality. Some families are actually that way. Some families, if you show emotion, it is a sign of weakness, according to that. My dad was one of those people that he never showed any emotion. And if you showed emotion, yeah, he definitely called me a few choice words about what he thinks about a male showing emotion. I'll leave that to your imagination, what he called me. But yeah, that is a mentality that's hard to break. But I can tell you, when you show emotion and you're real with people and you're authentic, you connect with people so much more when you do. Christine says, I ate cake and macaroni salad, and of all things, been keto for 1.5 years, just sort of fell apart. Today is a new day, feeling positive and back to the me I know. Jumped back on keto and IF. I felt horrible physically after eating like that after so long. Well, again, you're on the mend now, so good job. I took on everyone's problems, tried to fix them, worrying myself to death. I also have Graves' disease and Hashimoto's. Yes, that will make it a lot more difficult if you have those autoimmune conditions going on, and you're adding the stress of all of kind of the worry of everything. Definitely don't beat yourself up about that. You're not alone in that. A lot of people have struggled. But the good news is you're being honest about it and you realize what's happening. And I think that's half the battle, is recognizing. Because sometimes people get in those modes and they don't recognize that they've gone off the rails. They just know, I'm hurting, and so therefore I'm going to eat to soothe myself. So at least you're recognizing what you've done. Nancy says, I'm a naturally positive person, but I'm also a realist. I don't expect others to feel positive all the time, and I tend to dampen down my positivity so I won't be obnoxious. Yeah, I've been told and called by some people obnoxious for my being positive, and I'm like, okay, I do temper it, because I do sometimes share reality of things. Like when I get a hater or something, and I'll post some comment that somebody says about me, and people are like, oh, you just need to stay positive, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm feeling what that kind of comment did. But yes, in general, stay positive, but I'm feeling what that person made me feel, and I'm sharing that with you, and I don't think there's anything down about that. Thank you, Facebook. Let me pop over here to my YouTube channel. There's Edith. There's no such thing. You just have to be mindful as possible. Nothing is truly bad or extreme if you think properly before doing it. Think, observe, plan, make life work. Toxicity is bad, given that it incorporates delusional thinking. We were nurtured to depend on lies, instant gratification, none of which are achievable on this planet. Life is a challenge. Embrace the challenge. You will overcome. Like she writes me a book every day here, you guys. I love it, Edith. You're amazing. We've cultivated narcissist, groupthink, smile, and you will fly off the pie in the sky. Never seen that before. Envy doesn't exist. Evil will blow away, and life's a beach if you know how to live it. Thanks for that, Oprah. Never a dull moment reading your comments, Edith, so thank you for that. I'm going to come back over here to Instagram, see if we have any final comments before we pop off of here today. How do you not be toxic positive when all the people around you are negative? I think in that, Teresa, what a great question. Thank you for that. I think if you've got a bunch of negative nannies all around you, Well, number one, maybe it's time to get new friends, because if everybody in your life is a negative nanny, yeah, I mean, I have one friend that I know really close here locally, and all she does on Facebook is she posts all the everything that is wrong in her life, and woe is me, and woe is me, and oh, I'm down, no, I'm sad, no, I wish this, and oh, I wish that. And I just go, man, I'm exhausted just reading those things. And before long, people like that get pushed out to the side, and nobody wants to be around that negative energy. I think there's a balance there. If someone's always negative, 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 that's just as bad as somebody being positive, 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 positive. Show me somebody who shows you the ups and the downs of life, and I'll show you somebody who I can be friends with, because I know they're being real. Every business transaction I've ever done with a company, I always am blunt with them. And I tell them up front, look, I'm extremely blunt. I will tell you how I feel. If I think you're doing something stupid, I'm going to tell you you're doing something stupid. I'd said the same thing to my publisher. Like, if I think you're doing things that are driving me nuts, I'm going to tell you. And vice versa. You better darn well tell me if I'm doing anything that's driving you nuts. And that's what's worked really well. And I think when you have those kinds of relationships with people, you don't have to wonder what they think. You don't have to dance with eggshells. So to your specific question, how do you not be positive, toxic positive, when all the people around you are negative, toxic negative? I don't think toxic positivity is the antidote to negative toxic negativity. I don't. I think showing the ups and downs and demonstrating that, get them to think about those negative people, to think about the good things that are happening. Sometimes you just need to frame it for them. So that would be something that could be helpful. Johanna says, my late mother used to say to me, because I'm so sensitive and cry very easily, that you should always have that P in the eye. It's a Finnish expression. What is a P in the eye? I've never heard that expression. You should always have that P in the eye. I'm trying to visualize what P in the eye is. Johanna, if you're still here, please explain, what is a P in the eye, or if anybody else knows. And she spelled it P-E-E, not P-E-A. I was thinking, okay, maybe there's a green P in the eye, but it's spelled P-E-E. Like, is that urine in the eye? Like, what does P in the eye mean? So yeah, I hope this was helpful, you guys. Like, I had never heard of toxic positivity before. It's Finnish, says Johanna. Yeah, I know it's Finnish. Tell me what it means, though. Purr. Tell me what purr in the eye, P in the eye. Anyway, you got my... Oh, she said, yes, it's urine. All right, let me go back and read that again. Your mama always said that always you should have that P in the eye. Does that mean that, okay, there's P in the eye, so you've got P-colored view of the world, but you also have a free eye that sees the good? I'm trying to see the analogy. Okay, I'm thinking this too hard. So you got my brain working, Joanna. But I hope this was helpful, you guys. I think we need to be aware of the fakery. And you guys know, when I came back from sabbatical, what was the branding I used for myself? I'm the man of real. And I always want to be real. And the way you're real is you share the good, the bad, the ugly. If you only show the good, nobody knows you're going through bad. And then they assume you never go through bad. Then they wonder what's wrong because they go through bad. What's wrong with them? And so I love showing good, bad, ugly, so that people see, oh, they're just like me, and I'm not so isolated after all. Teresa says, maybe it's better to say crap in the eye. Johanna says, not should have, but always you have. Sorry for my poor English. Hey, no, I got it. I made a joke out of it, so it worked. So... But beware, you guys, of the toxic positivity and try to keep a balance of it. I think it's okay to have those emotions, express those emotions, share those. What I'm seeing a lot on social media right now, especially with the race relations and COVID-19 stuff and even the presidential election stuff, is it's all this negative emotion. And so it's sad to me to see that we could really counterbalance that and show, okay, yeah, we've got issues people have, but offset it. Offset it with some of the good stuff too, because it's not all bad. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content. You got to go follow me right here on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Engage live. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Be there, be square. We also simulcast over here on my Facebook page. Tammy says, yes, thank you, Jimmy. This was helpful. Thank you. And also over on my YouTube channel. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, we do put it up on IGTV on replay. We also have a replay on YouTube. Type in keyword Jimmy Rants. You'll find the show. Finally, pop on over to JimmyRants.com. You can see all the past episodes there as well. And then click on the Patreon link. Really, a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. And just a reminder, Jimmy Rants bonus episode over on YouTube right now. I've got a wonderful dietitian who Temple is her name. And so go check out Temple and the interview I did with Temple Stewart today on the Living La Vida Low Carb show. I've been airing the video of it on YouTube as a Jimmy Rants bonus, or if you prefer to listen to podcasts, I have it at llvlc.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, guys, that's it for now. We'll be back again real soon. Bye. All right.